Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. How do I do that? I review the wines, I taste them, I review them, I grade them, then it's up to you. I review, it's up to you. It's that simple. Just know your palate. And hopefully you're getting to know mine, how I look at wines. Of course, I try to be as objective as possible, try not to let my personal likes or dislikes get in the way of the actual quality of the wine. Not always an easy thing to do, I'll admit that. Very, very, very disappointed that the Seahawks didn't repeat. I have no problem with everything I said. I have no problem with my prediction of the score. Probably should have given Patriots a little bit more points. But Seahawks, they had it. They had it. We're still wondering what Pete Carroll was thinking, throwing the ball when he has Marshawn Lynch to run it in. Just crazy. Of course, you know, still love the Seahawks, still love Pete Carroll. He's a great coach. Made a bad decision. Everybody agrees with that. I don't think anybody thought that was a great decision. That was a bad decision. Still have the board up on the wall. We had a little party at our house. Get a little tighter here, though. Get that board out of there for now. Anyway, water under the bridge. We look forward to next season. I have confidence that the Seahawks will be back in the big game. So since we had the Super Bowl represented by the state of Washington, we're going to do a couple of Washington cabs from different vintages. And I want to talk real quickly about that. Nelms Road 2013 Cabernet Sauvignon, Washington State. This rolls in at $25. The prices went up since last time I reviewed this wine. So $25. This is Woodward Canyon's second label. Let's see. Okay. Woodward Canyon's second label. Woodward Canyon has been around for a long, long time. They do great cabs. They do an Artist City Series cab. They do I think it's an Old Vine cab that they do. And then they do Nelms Road. And the 2012 I reviewed on this show was amazing. And this is one of the things I wanted to talk about real quickly as I rinse my glass, and that is vintage variation. You know, a lot of wineries, especially the big boys, dial in certain things so that they get consistency. I spilled some. I was like, where did that come from? Anyway, so they get consistency that people, when they buy the wine, they know what they're going to get. Fetzer, Gallo, you know, Concannon, Domino, all those guys, they dial it in. Rombauer's a classic example, a more expensive one. They dial it in so that people know what they're getting. Now, a lot of people like that. And it's understandable, right? But some wineries like to show vintage variation. In other words, if it's a really super good vintage, the wine is going to be a little bit better than a tougher vintage. Wines are still good year in and year out because great winemakers can make great wine, usually in any vintage, as long as they have the good fruit source, of course. But really, you know, winemaking does start in the vineyard. You have to have good fruit to make good wines. We know that. But I've noticed with Nelms Road, like the 11 wasn't nearly as good as the 12. The 11 was good, but not nearly as good. Now we're going to the 13, and I know I was helping a customer pick out a cab, and I said, you got to go with Nelms Road. And I noticed that there was a 12 and a 13 on the shelf. I said, go with the 12. I don't know what the 13 is showing like yet. And so here I am reviewing the 13 Nelms Road Cabernet Sauvignon. And just a little fun fact for you guys. You probably know this already, but where does Cab come from? What are the parents of the Cabernet Sauvignon? It is Cabernet Franc and a white grape Sauvignon Blanc. Those are the parents of Cabernet Sauvignon. So let's see what we get on the nose. Now this is truer to what I remember with Nelms Road. There's a little bit of greenness on this. There's a little bit of tomato stem with red currants. Getting some cherry action going on. Actually, the nose is a little bit muted. but definitely currants. It seems like there's a little bit of alcohol on this. I'll spare you guys if I don't find it right away. It always amazes me how small they make the alcohol content on these, so you can't find it. And this is one of those where it just doesn't. Oh, there it is, 14.4. So yes, for a Cabernet Sauvignon, 14.4 might be hot to some people. I actually get a little bit of that on the nose. Get a little bit of licorice. Let's see what we get on the palate. Now, just to clarify, when I mention the alcohol, just because I get it on the nose doesn't mean I think it's going to be a bad wine. It's just sometimes that happens with wine. It displays on the nose, not on the palate. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of alcohol on your wine. I know there's some guys that would immediately turn away from it, and I'm just not one of those guys. If it's a good wine, it's a good wine. Let's see what we get on the palate. I don't know where to start with this one. It's a full-bodied cab. Certainly the alcohol comes through on the palate. There's no doubt about it. A lot of currants coming through. I get a little dark red cherry action on the mid-palate. There's a little bit of tar action. I get those like really like charred, like the oak barrels were burnt, and that char comes through on the palate. Good structure. This is a very solid wine. Very, when I say good structure, I mean it's very, the tannins are there. They're not mouth puckering, but they're there, and it holds the wine up real nicely. There's good acid. It's a little bit youthful. It's a 13. They probably burned through the 12 because the 12 was such a good wine. I think this wine is very good. I think it's a little hot. There's no doubt about it. The heat is there. It's on the back of my throat. It's not nearly as fruity as it is. It has a lot of that tar, you know, a little bit of black licorice on the backside, a little bit of burn on the end. I'm going to say that I need to retry this wine in about 4 to 5 months. Right now, I'm not like super excited about it. I think it's a B- cab. There's a lot of good things in it. It's well made, but it has some interesting little, the heat really bothers me on this wine. And the lack of fruit to char elements really kind of throw me off just a little bit. It doesn't seem to be true to Cabernet Sauvignon like I know a cab to be. Just a little bit of that green element comes through. I am making a mess out of this glass. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is a Cabernet-based wine. It is a Ox, or 0X, or Ox from Vapiano Winery, which I really like. This is a 2012. So I wanted to go 13, then I'd go back to the vintage of 2012. This is Columbia Valley red wine. It is, let's look at the percentages. It is 78% Cabernet Sauvignon, so it could be called a cab. They just have to have 75% of the varietal, we'll call it that. They chose not to. 12% Merlot, 4% Cab Franc, and 4% Syrah, 2% Petit Verdot. So this is like a Bordeaux blend with a little Syrah thrown in there. Vapiano Ox. I don't think it's Roman numeral. But I forgot what the sales rep told me on that. Anyway, Vapiano Ox. Mostly cab. You could call it a cab if you want. Alright, let's give it a little rinse. The Yeah, the game was just, it was an incredible Super Bowl. We can't take away from how good the Super Bowl was. Very entertaining, excellent play by both teams, but, Seattle gave it to New England. New England did not earn that Super Bowl. Seattle gave it to him. In particular, Mr. Carroll. All right, let's see what we get on the nose. A little bit of chocolate, which is really cool. I get like chocolate-covered cherries. Just a touch of tobacco, a little bit of currants coming through. That chocolate is amazing. I don't know what it is about wine, but whenever you get chocolate on a red wine, it just seems to have this dimension to it that I really like. And, I know a lot of you out there might say, how does he get chocolate on the wine? Well, just, get some really, like a really well-made milk chocolate bar, take a smell of it, and then smell this wine. You'll see what I mean. Get a little bit of cedar dust. Very interesting on the nose. Let's see what we get on the palate. And now I've never tried this wine before. I'm very curious. It rolls in at $30. Really nice currants and cherries. Really nice weight on this one. It has an excellent structure. The fruit's there, which tells me that my palate wasn't on it. On the other one, there's not nearly the char element. Nice kind of grippy tannins on the backside, which when you're thinking about wine and food, which obviously this is definitely needs a steak or something with it, because it's very solid. But it's also has enough fruit on it to drink solo, as I say, or all by itself. If you're watching a movie or something, you want a glass of red wine. Has a nice brightness on the back end, so there's good acidity, there's good fruit, there's nice structure, there's good tannins. They all kind of blend in nicely together. Like I said, a little grip on the back end. Hey Bella, oh, there she is. She's making her appearance. Somebody must be coming in the door. Anyway, it has that nice acid, fruit, tannic combination that works really good with red wines. This is solid wine. This really is. I like it a lot. Get just a touch of tobacco, a little bit of green on the back end of this wine. Oh yeah, definitely the greenness comes through on the back end, a little bit of tomato stem, blackberry bush sort of thing going on. But a nicely black olive element that's kind of with the fruit, giving it that nice flow across the palate. It's a very well made wine. That's a wine that you could easily put away for 10 to 15 years and it will only get better. All the tannins will integrate with the fruit and the acid and all that will come together. Very nice wine. I like it a lot. I'm going to go A- on that. Well built. So, to honor the Seahawks, who made it to the Super Bowl, we're really happy about that. Wish they would have won. We're tasting some Washington Cabs, the king of reds, and Seahawks are the king of the NFC. And, if it wasn't for Pete Carroll, they would have won another Super Bowl. Hey, thanks for watching. And remember, wine is not a mystery. It's just fermented grape juice. Trust your palate. Don't let anybody tell you what you should or shouldn't like, but always be willing to try new things. If we do that together, we can keep the snob out of wine.